Hello from Hamburg. It's been a while since I've met up here with you doing a cello talk. I'm sorry about that. I've actually been to 10 countries since I last talked to you from an airplane and from Korea. So I've been busy, excuse me. But I did promise that we're going to continue talking about different parts of the bow and how to use them. And we've gotten to the point where I want to talk about the tip of the bow. It's a complicated area out here because there's lots of different things you can do with it, and I'll start with the most obvious parts. Of course, it is physically the lightest part of the bow, the frog, having a lot of weight. Plus, since it's the furthest part away from the hand, it has the least weight that sits naturally upon the string. So, because of that, of course, it is the best place to do things that are very, very soft, like begin a note with almost no sound at all, and begin to fade it in. So when you want to begin with a sound that has virtually no border between silence and sound, you begin right out at the tip, right on the side of the hair, with a very small motion, moving to the frog. Conversely, to end a note with almost no audible border between sound and silence, go to the tip and let it float out here. But now I want to move to something that's more complicated. Because the hair is, of course, inserted into the head of the bow, this area, and I talked about it before, is very, very stiff. It's more stable than the middle of the bow, which is, of course, the bounciest place. So like the frog, where you have a lot of resistance from the hair, you also have that resistance out here. What you don't have out here, that you have at the frog, is the weight of the hand to deal with. So something that can happen out here is a more inherently even bow stroke between down bow and up bow than under the hand, where the weight of the arm, the weight of the wrist and the hand are accentuating the bow changes in a way that is sometimes good and sometimes not so good, depending on the music. So out here is where, because it's stiff and because you can move the bow in a very, very simple, flat way, is the place where you can make the most tightly packed sound. Now, how does that work best in music? Well, for example, if you want to change bow and not have the bow changes sound very accentuated, the best place to do that is towards the upper half or at the tip of the bow. I think I'm going to start to call this the upper half of the bow, and you know why it's called the upper half too. It's because you take it from the violin. That's why they play like this. That's why this is up bow and this is down bow. Of course, for cello it makes very little sense at all. But this is referred to as the upper half of the bow. So I'm going to talk about the upper half because I'm going to be using this part a lot. If you want smooth bow changes, let's say you play this bowing at the beginning of the G major suite. Place to be is out here. Why? If I do it here, that's okay, but it's not as good as this. Now, there's another reason that this is better out here, and it's also a little complicated. I'll try to explain it the best I can. When you watch a violinist play, they're playing music like that. They're usually playing like this. You see the way my arm is moving? It's bending at the elbow, and they are in the upper half. If a violinist plays something like Brandenburg Concerto, like, they're going to be out here. They're not going to be in here, which our equivalent is. Cellists tend to play here. because it's somewhat easier, because we have to hold our arms up if we're on the A string, etc. But we do lose a certain really fantastic bow stroke that the violinists do very naturally, because it's very easy for them to play here and use this part of the bow. Now, the reason that this works well out here is because when you have your arm in a good position for the tip of the bow, all of this is very, very even. I think it probably looks that way from your angle there, as though you could lay a board on top. And the reason that this is important is so that the arm can flex at the elbow. And it's possible to do this in the upper half of the bow, but it's not possible to do it in the lower half of the bow. The only way you can draw the bow absolutely level back and forth towards the frog is to move the entire arm, because this, swiveling the elbow, will produce an accentuated bow change, which for some things is okay, but if you want it really even, like I said, the tightly packed sound, the stick needs to be moving absolutely level, and for that we need this action in the arm, not this kind of action. Now, one of the things that you can do when the bow is out here and you're playing détaché is that you can increase the amount of bow speed and the distance your bow is traveling enormously without basically even moving this very much. I can't do that in here without doing this and making it sound rather awkward. So if I'm thinking about a musical line in something like this Brandenburg Concerto, it's to my advantage to be able to vary the bow speed. So, being out here enables you to increase the bow speed rather effortlessly in order to make a nice musical line. This is especially useful in Bach. Very, very important bow stroke. So it's tip, upper half. You remember the video that I did once about start your day up high, where you begin your exercises in thumb position. A good way to get comfortable at the tip of the bow is to begin your day at the tip of the bow. Take 4 minutes, 10 minutes, stay out here, get used to it, get very, very, very comfortable. Play some Bach out here in the morning. It's a great way to start the day. And use the bow like a violin, and you'll have a whole new area to explore and a different way of making music on the cello, I really believe. So from the next city, which I believe will be Copenhagen, we're going to talk about the middle of the bow.